During a routine flight from Portland, Oregon to Seattle, Washington on November 24th, 1971, a man claiming to be armed with a bomb demanded $200,000 in ransom money and 4 parachutes. After releasing the passengers, he instructed the crew to fly to Mexico City. Within 30 minutes of the second flight taking off, he opened the door to the plane and parachuted into the night. The hijacker, known only as D.B. Cooper from the name on his ticket, has never been caught or identified. Welcome to Let's Be Briefed. I'm Sydney.
And I'm Sarah.
And this week we're talking about D.B. Cooper.
Ooh.
How familiar are you with, the D.B. Cooper story?
I would say I'm pretty familiar, I think. I watched,
Okay.
who are the BuzzFeed guys that are no longer with BuzzFeed on the ghost hunting guys?
Unsolved?
Yeah, Unsolved.
Okay.
Yeah, they did one and I watched it, but I don't remember a lot, I feel like. Also, I didn't know it was in Portland, in that area. I thought it was, New York for some reason.
I guess I kind of did too. I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
where I thought it was, but I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like this is one of the United States biggest unsolved mysteries. Along with Zodiac Killer, there are only a few that are these big stories.
Yeah. I feel like people talk about him all the time.
Yeah.
Or at least people I
Yeah.
know. I don't know.
Right. What's normal? There's a Netflix docuseries or documentary on it too. That's pretty good. I know you don't have Netflix,
Ah,
but
I have it for 1 month because I
oh,
got it to watch the One Piece live action. So I have it until the end of November. So maybe I'll watch it. What's it called?
yeah.
Mm.
Just DB Cooper, I think.
Oh, okay.
All right. So, on the day before Thanksgiving in 1971, a man carrying a black briefcase purchased a one-way ticket from Portland to Seattle using cash under the name Dan Cooper. Dan Cooper was described by those present as a white male in his mid-40s with dark hair and brown eyes, wearing a black or brown business suit, white shirt, a thin black tie, a black raincoat, and brown shoes.
It's probably like everyone
I
or anyone.
know! Especially in the 70s, I feel like people dressed up to fly.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know why I thought this was late 60s, not 71.
Wow. Same thing.
Dan Cooper, where did B come from?
We'll get there.
Okay, okay.
We'll get there.
Nice.
Cooper boarded Flight 305, which was a Boeing 727, sat in seat 18E in the last row, and ordered a bourbon and 7-Up. There were 37 passengers and 6 crew members on the flight. Shortly after takeoff, Cooper handed the flight attendant, Florence Schaefer, who was sitting in the jump seat directly behind Cooper, a note. She assumed it was his phone number and dropped it into her purse without reading it. So he whispered, "Miss, you better look at the note. I have a bomb."
Oh my God.
Can you imagine?
I could definitely see just putting the note somewhere else,
I
I don't
know,
want
being like, I
this.
don't want to deal with this.
Yeah, but then him saying, I have a bomb. Oh my God, what if you're next to him?
I think he was the only one in the row, though.
Oh,
He
okay.
was, I believe.
That would be scary if he was next to someone.
Yeah, it would be. So when she opened the note, she saw in neat all capital letters, "Miss, I have a bomb in my briefcase and I want you to sit by me." Which,
Oh.
okay, when it said neat all capital letters, engineering writing. Do you know what I'm
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about? That's what
Yes.
I'm picturing. That
The very
very square.
specific.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a specific handwriting for engineers.
Yeah.
I wish I
Oh.
learned it, but I didn't. Maybe
I
that should
like
be my goal for next year, is to learn how to write like an engineer, because I think it looks really good. I don't know,
I
there's it's
really
so
like it.
satisfying. Everything is like a block.
Yeah, and it's all the same exact size too.
Yes.
I like learned a little bit in my CAD class, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
once we did AutoCAD, it was like, oh,
Right. Yeah,
that'd
that's
be
actually
cool.
gonna be one of my goals. I want engineering handwriting.
For all the times you write now.
I write a lot of
Instead of-
notes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. She got up and sat in the seat next to him and asked to see the bomb. So he opened his briefcase to reveal 2 rows of 4 red cylinders, which she assumed were dynamite that were attached by a wire to a large battery.
That's a lot of dynamite, isn't it?
I know.
Does he need that much?
Yeah, he's gonna take down the whole plane.
Yeah, but wouldn't you be able to take down the plane by just taking out like a window or something?
True.
Because of the air pressure or
Or
whatever?
just the tail.
Right. Yeah, you don't have to blow it all up in the air. You just gotta take off a little piece.
Well, who knows what it even was? They never recovered the bomb.
Well, yeah, I feel like just a red cylinder. Yeah.
Right, it could have been like a painted PVC pipe
Yeah.
if she was dumb enough.
Well,
Or like something, isn't it wrapped in like a wax paper type
what
thing?
is? Bombs? Oh, dynamite,
I've
yeah.
never seen real dynamite, but I think it's like, yeah, I think it's like wrapped in paper. So actually, it's probably wrapped in like a anti. I don't know. I've seen some of that
Oh,
like
yeah.
anti-corrosive packaging stuff. I don't know where they came from. We saw them in school, but I think it's wrapped in paper. So it could have been literally like Oscar
Right.
Mayer hot dogs wrapped in paper. Like we don't know.
Right. I feel like it wasn't.
Imagine he opens the briefcase and it just reeks of hot dog.
He'd be like, sir, these are red hot dogs. Painted hot dogs with wire.
Help.
I bet it was fake, but yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. So, after he showed her the bomb, he started making his demands. She took notes and brought them to the cockpit to inform the flight crew of the situation, and then they asked her to stay in the cockpit and like write down
Oh,
everything that happened.
okay.
The crew captain, William A. Scott, contacted the airline. Okay, so the airline was Northwest Orient, but I'm just going to call it Northwest for the rest of this because that's too many words.
2 words.
Northwest is like 2 words already.
It's really one though, but okay. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he contacted their flight operations, which was in Minnesota, to relay the demands. And he had asked for $200,000, which is roughly 1.5 million today, along with 2 front parachutes and 2 back parachutes, all in a like backpack by 5 p.m. And he asked that the money be in negotiable US currency. And it was assumed that he would be taking hostages when he asked for like 4 parachutes.
Yeah.
So the authorities wouldn't supply like
Oh,
equipment that didn't work.
right. That makes sense. Unless they're like, we gotta stop this guy and we'll just have 3 casualties. I don't think they would have done
Oh.
that. That's a lot of
No, I
money.
don't think so. It is.
Wow.
It is. And then when after that he requested that like upon their arrival in Seattle, the crew and passengers would remain on board and be met by fuel trucks to refuel the plane and receive the money, and after he received all of the money and parachutes, he would release the passengers. So an air traffic controller in Seattle contacted the police and FBI, and the passengers on the plane were told that their arrival in Seattle was being delayed due to weather, and the flight circled Seattle for 2 hours while the FBI got all the money together for the exchange. How mad would you be if you were on a flight
I would be so
just
mad.
circling?
I mean, that's happened before where we had to circle for so long. That's happened twice. One time when I was going to Sedona, and I flew in to Phoenix, and then we were just circling, 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 and then eventually they were like, the thunderstorm wasn't moving out of Phoenix, like it was just sitting there,
Oh.
and they were eventually like, we're gonna have to go to Las
Oh, I
Vegas
remember when
instead.
that
So we
happened.
landed in Vegas, yeah, and then we drove to Sedona
Oh
for
my
5 hours at like
God.
midnight. I don't. The other time we ended up being able to land, but I hate when you're just circling or just sitting on
Yeah,
the
that
tarmac.
happened to Mark. He flew in from Dallas and there was a thunderstorm and they wouldn't let them off the plane for like an hour just sitting there.
Yeah, I hate
I
that.
didn't read his text that said don't come get me yet because
Just sitting there.
yeah, so I just sat at the airport for an hour and it was like pouring. Otherwise I would
Oh,
have just gone home. But like the
right.
weather was bad and I was like, ugh, I don't want to drive all the way home and drive all the way back. So I just
Yeah,
sat.
that sucks. And I'd be so mad that it's not even actually like I mean, obviously they can't tell everyone what's going on.
Right,
But like when you find
right.
out later, it's like, what the hell? Because of this guy who we had to fucking circle around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the flight attendant, or a flight attendant, Tina Mucklow, was instructed to stay by his side and reported that he seemed to know the area very well. He was able to identify Tacoma and said that the McCord Air Force Base was only a 20-minute drive from the airport. She also said that he didn't seem nervous and was nice and not cruel in any way. And while they were sitting there, he asked her where she was from, and she told him she was born in Pennsylvania, but that she's living in Minnesota right now. And he was like, "Oh, Minnesota is very nice country." So she asked him back where he was from, and he got upset
Oh.
and did not like that. And then he also like told her that he didn't have a grudge against that airline specifically. He just had a grudge in general, and the flight served his purpose.
Oh, a grudge against flying or against,
He didn't specify.
yeah, or he just, that's the way he wanted to get his money.
I guess. So when they the ransom money, which was 10,000 unmarked $20 bills, had serial numbers mostly beginning with L's, and they were all photographed on microfilm by the FBI prior to the ransom drop, which makes sense, but how do you fucking take pictures of 10,000
That's why it took 2 hours.
bills? Right.
You
They
got
must have scanned it
you
somehow.
got 100 people or something.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. But they're in stacks. They didn't take the stacks apart. I
Oh.
guess they must be sequential, right? Like,
Yeah, if you know
if
like
they're
the
new
first and the
bills.
last, then
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, maybe you just write down the first bill and the last bill in the stack, I
that would make
guess.
sense.
Yeah, I mean, you can't spend any of this then. Like, I mean, I don't understand why people do any of
Do this.
this.
Well, money laundering, you can.
Yeah, I guess that's
No
true.
one's gonna recognize one bill.
Right.
They're gonna recognize if you try to pay for a car with like a
Ye-
fat stack of bills that are
Right.
all in sequential order.
Right. That's true. You gotta be like the Ozarks or whatever. Ugh,
Yes.
I missed
Yeah,
that show.
exactly. Put it in the wash machine.
Yeah.
At 5:45, they informed the pilot that the parachutes had been received and like it was safe to land. And Cooper requested that only one person bring everything out to the plane, and that person could only enter through the front door of the plane. Like any on and off had to be through the front door of the plane.
Okay. Are there,
And
is there
oh,
back
go ahead.
door?
Yes,
Oh.
on this plane there
Oh
is a
yeah.
back door.
Okay.
Um, they also so Tina, the flight attendant, met a representative from the airline and retrieved everything and brought it back on to the back seat of the plane, and then he let like once he had the money, he released all of the passengers and most of the crew. And when they were leaving, Tina asked him for some of the money, like as a joke, and he tried
Oh.
to